Alrighty. Good evening. I will call this meeting to order at 5 o'clock. Can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Lara?
Here.
Councilmember Finn?
Here.
Councilmember Martinez?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem White?
Here.
Mayor Voigt?
Here. All right, and we will move on to public comment regarding closed session. Nicole, do we have any public comment?
I have no written requests. Simone, do we have any callers on the line?
We have no callers at this time.
All right, seeing none then, can we get a readout for our items for discussion, please?
Yes, the council meet in closed session. Item B1 is conference with legal counsel regarding potential initiation of litigation involving two potential cases. Item B2, conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation, and it's a workers' comp case. The workers' comp case number is listed in the agenda. Item B3 is conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation, and that's Crystal Gutierrez versus City of Beaumont et al. Item B4 is conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, and that's Madeline Fox et al. versus the County of Riverside et al. And then B5 is conference with labor negotiators. The agency designated representatives are council members Mike, Laura, and Julio Martinez, or their designee, and the unrepresented potential employee is city manager. And B6 is public employee employment, and the title of that position is city manager.
All right, thank you very much, and we will adjourn to closed session at 5:02. All righty, good evening. So good to see everybody's face today. All right, I will call this regular session of the City Council meeting to order at 6:07. Can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Laura,
Here.
Councilmember Fenn,
Here.
Councilmember Martinez,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem White,
Here.
Mayor Voigt.
Here. All right, can I get a report out on closed session, please?
Yes, the council met in closed session. Item B1 was conference with legal counsel regarding potential initiation of litigation involving two potential cases. There was no reportable action on that. Item B2, conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation, and that's a workers' compensation case. The case number is listed in the agenda. There was no reportable action taken on that item. Item B3, conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation, and that is in the matter of Crystal Gutierrez versus City of Beaumont et al. There was reportable action on that. There was a motion to defend the city and the officer named as defendant in the case. And the motion was made by Mayor Pro Tem White. The second was made by Councilmember Fenn. And the vote was as follows. Mayor Voigt in favor. Mayor Pro Tem White in favor, Councilmember Laura in favor, Councilmember Fenn in favor, and Councilmember Martinez in favor. The council then met on item B4, which was conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation in the Madeline Fox et al. Versus County of Riverside et al. Matter. And there was a motion to defend that case, to defend the city in that case. And the motion was made by Mayor Pro Tem White, the second by Councilmember Laura. And the vote was Mayor Voigt in favor, Mayor Pro Tem White in favor, Councilmember Fenn in favor, Councilmember Martinez in favor, and Councilmember Laura in favor. The next item, B5, was conference with labor negotiators, the agency designated representatives, Councilmembers Mike Laura and Julio Martinez or their designee, the unrepresented potential employee, the city manager, and there was no reportable action on that item. B6, public employee employment, and the title of the position being considered city manager, and there was no reportable action taken on that item in closed session. And that concludes the report out.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Pinckney, for the record, for item B4, what was the motion? I have the motion in the second.
The motion was to defend the city in the action,
Thank you.
and the first was by Mayor Pro Tem White and the second by Councilmember Laura, and all voted in favor of defending the city in that action.
All righty, excellent. Thank you for that. And do we have any requests for any excused absences? All right, and with that, we will call up Pastor Henry Lundy to come and provide the invocation for us.
Father in heaven, we thank you for your love for us. Thank you for giving us Jesus, that we might have life. Thank you for this wonderful city. We ask your continued blessings upon it. Bless the police, the fire department, bless their families, bless our council here. Continue to do great things. We need you. We pray for courage. We pray for unity. Thank you for all the young people that are here. Guide them and protect them and keep them. We ask all of these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. And we will
Please
have,
join me in the pledge to the flag. Right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
no, that's okay. I have to get used to saying it ahead of time, so. All right, thank you, gentlemen. And do we have any adjustments to the agenda tonight?
We have none.
All right, and seeing none up here as well, and any conflicts of interest to disclose? All right, then we will start off with some recognition for Beaumont Unified School District staff and the Beaumont Fire Department personnel. So if I could have Chief Hopkins come up.
Good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. Tonight, I'd like to share with you an incident that demonstrates how preparation, training, and decisive action can save a life. On February 13th, Jaylene, a 12-year-old student at San Antonio Middle School, was on the playground during physical education class when she suddenly collapsed. Witnesses reported that she stumbled backwards twice before falling to the ground and becoming completely unresponsive. She had no detectable pulse. Another student immediately ran to alert the physical education coaches, who were approximately 400 feet away. The coaches ran across the campus and arrived to find the student unconscious and pulseless. Because of CPR training provided by the school district, the coaches knew exactly what to do. Without hesitation, one of the coaches immediately began chest compressions while the other activated the 911 system. Security camera footage later confirmed approximately 42 seconds of continuous, effective CPR during the first cycle of compressions. Jaylene first briefly showed signs of life, but became unresponsive again, and the coach performed another cycle of compressions for about 15 seconds. Within roughly 1 minute of beginning CPR, Jaylene regained spontaneous circulation. At the same time, Beaumont Fire Engine 106 and an advanced life support ambulance were responding to the school under a Code 3 emergency response. Firefighter paramedic Mueller and firefighter Hauser quickly assessed the patient and determined she was experiencing a 3rd degree or complete heart block. In simple terms, the electrical signals that control the heart had stopped communicating with the upper and lower chambers. As a result, the lower portion of the heart was beating at only 32 beats per minute. For a child of her age, a normal heart rate is between 60 and 100 beats per minute. At 32 beats per minute, the heart cannot circulate enough blood to sustain brain function. Sorry about that. An ambulance and the crew from engine, oh, I'm sorry. There we go. So let me start that again. At 32 beats per minute, the heart cannot circulate enough blood to sustain brain function or vital organs. That is why Jaylene lost consciousness and collapsed. Our crews confirmed the rhythm on scene and stabilized Jaylene before transporting her to Loma Linda University Medical Center. When Jaylene left the scene at Sangji, she was conscious, alert, and communicating with the responders. After being treated at the hospital, Jaylene was scheduled for a later date to have a pacemaker defibrillator installed to help manage her cardiac condition. After the brief hospital stay, she was released and allowed to return to school on February 23rd prior to her procedure date. Unfortunately, 3 days later, while the school was finishing a fire drill, Jaylene experienced another cardiac event and collapsed again. As students began shouting for help, the assistant principal and another physical education coach responded immediately. Finding no pulse, they began CPR. Once again, they performed approximately 45 seconds of continuous effective CPR during the first cycle of compressions. Jaylene again briefly showed signs of life but became unresponsive again. So they performed another cycle of compressions for about 25 seconds, and again, they brought her back. An ambulance and the crew from Engine 22 arrived on scene, took over patient care, and transported Jaylene to Loma Linda University once again. 2 days later, doctors successfully implanted a pacemaker defibrillator to help regulate her heart rhythm. I'm very happy to report that Jaylene returned to school on March 9th and is doing much better. Based on the medical findings and the on-scene assessment by Fire Captain Beverlin and our paramedic crew, the coaches and the assistant principal's immediate CPR intervention was a decisive factor in Jaylene's survival. Without it, the outcome could have been very different. The result could have been brain damage or even worse. This incident demonstrates the importance of 3 things working together exactly as they should. First, immediate bystander CPR was performed by trained school staff. Second, rapid deployment of advanced life support resources. And third, professional assessment and treatment by our responding firefighters and paramedics and transport to the hospital. But the most critical link in that chain of command, or in that chain, was the first one. A trained adult who recognized cardiac arrest and acted immediately. That is exactly what CPR training programs are designed to accomplish and why early CPR is so important. Because of that training and because of the courage and quick thinking of dedicated educators, Jaylene is alive today. At this time, I am extremely proud to recognize these educators. I have known them well for over a decade, and in fact, I have the privilege of being married to one of them. Excuse me. I would like to invite Coach Christine Veloso, Coach Ashley Steele, Coach Jody Hopkins, and Assistant Principal Lauren Heisen Gasper to come forward, please. I would also like to invite the crews from Engine 106, Captain Tim Beverlin, Engineer Nicholas Vega, Firefighter Trent Hauser, and Firefighter Paramedic Michael Moeller. And from Engine 22, Captain Brad Fedek, Engineer Paramedic Justin Morris, and Firefighter Hildardo Padilla to please come forward. And best of all, I would also like to invite Jaylene and her family to come forward and join us tonight. And then Jaylene or your family, if you'd like to come up and say any words to the firefighters or council or anything.
Hi, good afternoon. I am very thankful. I am the mother of Jaylene. I am very thankful for what all of the staff did, CPR, AMR. Forever, I will be grateful. And I thank you to you guys, to your response. I could hold my baby and still carry her. Thank you.
All right, see if I can hold it together now. It's pretty emotional. So first, to our educators, I know this is not something you expect to face when you show up for work each day. I know this was difficult. I know it was stressful and emotional for all of you. But because of your actions, Jaylene's alive today. And to our firefighters, I'm proud of you guys. Day in and day out, you answer the call. You live by service above self. Your professionalism, skill, and dedication to serving this community helped ensure that a family did not lose their little girl. So thank you all. I'd like to turn it over to the mayor now.
Thanks, Chief, and thanks to all the firefighters and to the teachers. I know that it's not something you expect to show up to and see throughout the day. And your decisiveness, your confidence to react, and your ability to stay calm allows Jaylene to stand in front of us today. And to the paramedics and to the firefighters, your attention to detail, your willingness to show up for anything really is what gets us to where we are today. So on behalf of the City of Beaumont, the CAL FIRE, Riverside County Fire Department, and us up here as City Council, we want to recognize your extraordinary actions, your immediate response, your calm decision-making, and the willingness to act in a moment of crisis truly saved a life. It is absolutely my honor to recognize all of you and have the council present you with these certificates of recognition for your heroic response and commitment to the safety and well-being of the students in our community. So I would really like you all to please join me in thanking Coach Veloso, Coach Steele, Coach Hopkins, Assistant Principal Heisen Gaspar, and the firefighters from Engines 106 and 22 for demonstrating the very best of what service and preparedness looks like. And I will tell you that as an emergency nurse myself, this is exactly what we train for. We train to make sure that we save lives. So incidents like us remind us that emergency responses not only begin when a fire engine arrives, but it begins with trained people within our community who are ready to act when seconds matter. This event is a powerful example of why we continue investment in CPR training for school personnel is so important, and it equips people to make extraordinary differences in the most critical moments. So thank you all for being willing to take that step. And Jaylene, we're so glad that you are here with us today. And thank goodness for those, for the doctors that can give you the AICD and the pacemaker to keep your little heart ticking for sure. So thank you. All right, we have some certificates, I think, and we'll get some pictures taken.
We have names that were being confirmed, so we will get certificates, but
Okay.
we want to get a photo
Can
this
we get
evening.
everybody up here with Jaylene and the family as well? Do you want to say anything? Okay. Well, thank you all again. I just really cannot express enough gratitude for everything that everybody did for that young one for us, so that you can go on and make great changes in the world for sure. And I would be remiss if I didn't continue to plug CPR for just recognizing those signs and symptoms and being willing to act. So thank you all, and thank you to Chief Hopkins for bringing that forward. All right, we are going to continue on with some other amazing recognitions. And so now we will recognize our Amazing Shake students. The Amazing Shake is a competition that builds student confidence and professional skills through challenges in interviewing, public speaking, networking, and poised communication. Across multiple rounds, beginning with scenario-based stations and ending with group interviews, Beaumont Unified School District's top students advance through the district event where judges ultimately selected the top finalist and crowned an overall championship. So, with more than 180 students from across the Beaumont Unified School District participants, also, Councilmember Lara had a chance to join in and serve as a competition. I would like to recognize the top 3 finalists. So Sophia Tandock was first place. Is Sophia here today? Excellent. Second place went to Ethan Moitoso. Is he here? He couldn't be here today. All right. And third place is Risha Lamsal. Did I say that correctly? Oh, wonderful. Congratulations, you guys. I too have participated in this event, and Councilmember Lara, I don't know if you want to speak to your experience and all that they go through.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is, I don't know how many I've participated in, but what was amazing to me was being able to sit in the audience this time, and as you go through your interview process of each of the steps, if you close your eyes, you don't realize that you're actually, in what grades are you in? Eighth grade. It sounds like you're either in high school or college with the answers that you give and the way that you conduct yourself. It is my most favorite event to be a part of, but I'm not sure if I like the what is it, the
Speed round.
the speed round or the different rounds that you have. They're all so exciting to watch and see, and it just amazes me that the maturity level of the participants in all grade levels was just top notch. And to Ms. Heisen, I just appreciate your dedication to this program. This started in your school, San G, and has now expanded throughout the district. And it is a major event. So thank you so much for your dedication.
Yes.
Can we get to this? Can you guys say a few words? Would you mind? Because that way everybody can enjoy. Nope.
Okay. Testing? Okay. All right. Well, good evening, council members, and to Mayor Voigt. Thank you so much for having us here. This is such an honor. And to have our achievements recognized, it is truly such an honor. And actually, when Ms. Heisen Gaspar told me about it, I was in shock. I was like, wow, us at City Council? But truly, the Amazing Shake is such an amazing competition that I'm so glad to have been a part of. It's taught me so many things, and I know that when I started out this competition when I was 11 years old, I wouldn't have been able to stand up here in front of you today and deliver these words. So truly, it has been such an amazing thing, and I've learned so much from it. Really very good job.
Good evening, everyone. Like Sophia said, I'm truly so grateful to be standing here, to be winning this competition. But this competition has taught me so much, so much. I would not be the person I am today, the person talking to you right now. I would not be acquired this confidence, this poise to be able to speak to you with the way I am right now. It is truly such a competition that has taught me so much life skills that honestly, I don't think I would have learned anywhere else than this competition today. And it has truly affected my day-to-day life.
Wonderful. Thank you, ladies, so much. I can't imagine how far you will go. These are life skills that can only be taught through refinement and through taking the steps to push yourselves harder. So great job. And one thing to note is that these outstanding students will be representing Beaumont at the Global Amazing Shake competition in Atlanta later this year. How exciting is that? That is awesome, you guys. Well, best of luck. Keep us posted. Come back and show us the trophies again. And we are really excited for you. So let's bring you guys on up here and we'll get a picture as well. Congratulations. Yes, congratulations. Well done. What's that? Yes, you sure may. All right. That will move us on and keep us in the spirit of recognition to move on over to Government Finance Professionals Week. So we would like to recognize our finance department and all that they do in keeping us honest and keeping everything transparent for us. And so we really just wanted to highlight Government Finance Professionals Week. So I'm going to read a proclamation real quick. So whereas, let's see, Government Finance Professionals Week is March 23rd through the 27th. Whereas government finance professionals play a critical role in safeguarding public resources and ensuring the responsible management of taxpayer funds. And whereas these professionals are responsible for preparing and managing budgets, maintaining accurate financial records, ensuring compliance with laws and regulations, and providing transparent financial information to elected officials and to the public. And whereas the work of the government finance professionals support informed decision-making and helps maintain public trust through accountability, fiscal integrity, and transparency. And whereas the California Society of Municipal Finance Officers established Government Finance Professionals Week celebrated annually during the last week of March, beginning in 2026, to recognize the essential contributions of finance professionals serving cities, counties, and special districts throughout California. And whereas the City of Beaumont acknowledges the dedication, expertise, and professionalism of its finance department and their commitment to maintaining the city's financial stability, ensuring responsible stewardship of public funds, and supporting the delivery of vital services to the community. Therefore, be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Beaumont, California hereby recognizes March 23rd through the 27th, 2026 as Government Finance Professionals Week and encourages residents, businesses, and public officials to join in recognizing the important contributions of government finance professionals who work diligently to ensure fiscal accountability and transparency in local government. So thank you. And let's have you guys come up for a picture. More pictures. Aren't you guys all glad you... What did I do with my pen? There it is. All right. This is my lucky shirt. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Lisa, you're knocking everything.
Everything's going.
Yeah, I know. Lisa, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you to our finance team. And let's get this meeting moving somewhere with National Transit Appreciation Day. March 18th, 2026. I was channeling my inner Councilmember Lara there. All right, so whereas National Transit Employee Appreciation Day was established in 2009 to recognize the efforts of transit workers across the United States, and whereas the City of Beaumont is proud to operate Beaumont Transit, a vital public transportation service connecting residents, workers, and visitors to destinations throughout our community and region. And whereas the dedicated men and women of Beaumont Transit include bus drivers, maintenance department, and administrative staff, report to work each and every day with a commitment to safety, reliability, and service excellence. And whereas Beaumont Transit employees ensure that residents who depend on public transportation, including seniors, persons with disabilities, students, and working families, are able to reach employment, medical appointments, educational institutions, and essential services. And whereas public transit plays a critical role in reducing traffic congestion, lowering greenhouse gas emissions, and supporting the economic vitality of our city. And whereas National Transit Appreciation Day provides an important opportunity for our community to recognize and celebrate the outstanding contributions of those who keep Beaumont moving. Therefore, be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Beaumont, California hereby recognizes March 18th, tomorrow, 2026 as National Transit Appreciation Day and encourages residents, businesses, and public officials to join in recognizing the important contributions of not only our local transit employees, but those nationwide. Thank you. Come on up. All right, we got another one for us. And I like that you have a banner today. All right, and in true Beaumont fashion, we have a survey for you all to take. So if you haven't had an opportunity to go onto our website, we are seeking input on our Beaumont on the Move. So Beaumont on the Move is our transit survey that is currently out there. We would like your input. So for those of the public that are here and those that are listening online or watching in YouTube, please check on that website and fill out that survey for us so we can expand our services. All right, that will move us on out of our recognitions. That was fun. And into our public comment period. Any one person may address the City Council on a matter not on this agenda. If you wish to speak, please fill out a public comment form provided at the back table and give it to the City Clerk. There's a 3-minute time limit on public comments. There will be no sharing or passing of time to another person. State law prohibits the City Council from discussing or taking actions brought up by your comments. So Nicole, do we have any public comment for items that are not on the agenda?
Yes, ma'am. I have a written and then I have an in-person. I can start with the in-person.
Sure.
Okay. Carlos Alvarado.
I'm good. Okay, I guess. Okay. Well, good evening, members of the Beaumont City Council. My name is Carlos Alvarado, and I'm here to address some false information about an incident that occurred on February 27th. What we want to do is we want to ensure that the record is accurate and that the facts are clear, not only to the council, but also to the community of Beaumont. What took place in the incident was not a situation to where someone had intervened in a dog attack. The video clearly shows a premeditated murder to where the individual got in his vehicle, was cruising through the neighborhood looking for an animal, which returned back to my property. The pup was my pup, who happened to get out of the side yard due to the fence not being completely latched. In the video, it does show the individual walking onto my property, at which time, although it is not visible, you can clearly hear the dog being stabbed by a tree trimmer. The response in the city post, if you will, as well as the police information, causes confusion and concern in regards to what is truly important, which is for us and the public to know the truth. We respectfully ask that an accurate information be amended, that it be correctly stated as what happened, that there be clarification on the incident. That they're not to prevent any further misunderstandings, or that when this does go before the district attorney, that there's no confusion involved due to a police report. We thank you for allowing us to speak. We thank you for the opportunity to be able to come here, and we have full faith and trust that you will make the right decision. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Mr. Alvarado. We appreciate you coming in. All right, and Nicole, do we have any other public comment?
Yes, I have a written comment. I'll check with the phone lines first. Simone, do we have any callers on the line?
We have no callers at this time.
Okay, and I will read the emailed comment. If this goes beyond the 3 minutes, I will email it to council.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council, and staff. My name is Tracy Elizabeth. I have worked professionally with animals for more than 20 years. I am sending this message tonight because of an incident on February 27th, 2026. It has been misrepresented in official city and police communications, and that misrepresentation could unfairly influence whether the Riverside County District Attorney pursues justice. The city's March 11 press release states, and I quote, "A woman had been attacked by multiple small dogs that were running loose in the area. That the woman's husband intervened and struck one of the dogs with a gardening tool in an effort to stop the attack, and that the officers responded to aggressive dogs attacking residents in a neighborhood. Video footage of the event directly contradicts those claims. The two dogs simply escaped their backyard and startled a neighbor woman, causing her to fall and sustain some bruises. There was no attack, no bites, no pack aggression, and no involvement of multiple neighbors. The woman's husband, Brandon Robinson, then got in his car, drove around the neighborhood, located one of the dogs, which was a French bulldog, weighing approximately 20 to 25 pounds, who had already returned to its own front yard, and stabbed it, resulting in the dog's death. As a professional who has spent over 2 decades handling and caring for and assessing animal behavior, I can tell you with certainty that nothing in the video shows the life-threatening emergencies described in the official release. This was not an act of self-defense. It was a calculated act of violence by a man who sought to serve as the judge, jury, and executioner. Furthermore, the man who killed this companion animal told the Beaumont police officer that he had a concealed carry permit that allows him to carry a firearm. Someone with his inability to control his emotion-fueled rage has zero business being allowed to carry a concealed weapon. My deep concern is that these inaccurate statements, now part of the public record and case file sent to the district attorney, could prejudice the decision on whether the man who killed the dog on its own property is held accountable. Public officials have a duty to report facts, not narrative that favors one party. These misstatements have been repeated by mainstream media, including 2 Los Angeles news channels, MSN Online, and in countless social media posts. I respectfully ask the City Council to direct the Police Department to review all available video evidence immediately, and for both City and the Police Department to issue corrected statements so that the District Attorney receives an accurate account. Our community deserves transparency and fairness, especially when a life has already been taken. Thank you for your time and attention to this matter.
Thank you.
No other comments.
Any on the phone?
Simone, any callers on the line?
No, we have no callers at this time.
All right, thank you for that. And thank you for the public comment. All right, we will be moving on to the consent calendar. And do we have any items to be pulled for discussion?
Yes, Mayor, could we pull G7, please?
Sure. All right, we will pull item G7. And otherwise, do we have any public comments on any items on the consent calendar?
I have no written requests. Simone, do we have any callers on the line?
We do not have any callers at this time.
All right, I will entertain a motion for items other than G7.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve items G1 through G6 and G8 through G10 on the consent calendar.
I'll second.
All right, can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Laura?
Yes.
Councilmember Finn?
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem White?
Yes.
Mayor Voigt?
Yes. All right, and for item G6, This is the follow-up report to number 22, local and state of emergency sewer mainline failure and emergency repairs in Fairway Canyon. Councilmember Fenn?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted a couple follow-up questions, just real simple. One is, when is the next report due? And then when do we, well, maybe three questions. When do we expect the full work to be completed? And then when do we expect it to come back for a notice of completion?
Okay, the full work of the physical construction is completed. The deadline to turn these reports in to make councils is a couple weeks. So when we turn this in, it wasn't complete yet. But in that time period, substantial construction completion is complete. What still is occurring out there is mitigation efforts. We're planting native seeds on the banks that have been disturbed, et cetera. But substantial completion of the project, we're there. The intention is to bring the next item we're reviewing with legal and the environmental legal to bring a close action of the emergency item with the next update, which would be April 7th.
Okay, appreciate that, because I thought that might be due now. So I appreciate the update. Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, then I will entertain a motion for G7.
So with that, I'll move to approve G7.
And I'll second. Can I get a roll call?
Councilmember Laura?
Yes.
Councilmember Finn?
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem White?
Yes.
Mayor Voigt?
Yes. All right, that will move us to item H, our youth council report.
So Mayor, we did not have a quorum to have business meeting, but the students present did take a bus tour
Okay.
that were provided, and we took a tour on the industrial part of the city because they wanted to see where, because really they don't go over there.
Yeah.
So we took a nice tour around that area and went over Potrero Bridge and so forth and came back. So they really appreciated that. So thank you for Transit for putting that on.
It's always fun to get students on the bus.
And many had never been on a bus, so.
Oh, that's fun. Well, good, and to see different parts of the city. Councilmember White, did you have anything?
I do not.
Okay, very good. Then we will move on to item I. There are no public hearings, and so we'll head on down to action items. So we will first discuss item J1, award a contract for manhole replacement project. And we'll have a staff report by Mr. Van Bell.
Thank you very much. Yes, Mayor and Council, this is a previously scheduled CIP and approved CIP project by City Council. We went out to bid. We had a very successful bid response. This is to replace manholes along a 30-inch main, namely between Michigan and Veely on First Street. The low bid, $72,000, and we're asking for a 10% contingency on top of that for a total budget of $79,459.
All right, thank you for that. Do we have any public comment on this item?
I have no written requests. Simone, do we have any callers on the line?
We have no callers at this time.
All right, I'll open it up for council discussion or a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve the recommended action.
I'll second.
Can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Laura?
Yes.
Councilmember Finn?
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem White?
Yes.
Mayor Voigt?
Yes. All right, I will move us on to item J2, which is a sponsorship request for the Beaumont Educational Support Team Night of the Stars, Illuminating Futures. And Mr. Usher.
And before he presents, Mayor and Council, I'm going, out of an abundance of caution, I'm going to recuse myself on this item as I serve on the board for this entity.
Very good.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. The item before you is a sponsorship request for the Beaumont Educational Support Team, also known as BEST, for their annual Night of Stars Illuminating Futures event. BEST is a local nonprofit organization that directly supports students within the Beaumont Unified School District through scholarships and educational program grants. Since their establishment in 2014, they've awarded over $200,000 in scholarships and more than $65,000 in school grants, helping students pursue higher education and support enrichment programs that go beyond the classroom. This annual event serves as their primary fundraising effort and plays a meaningful role in continuing those opportunities for local students. The request before you tonight is participation at the diamond level sponsorship in the amount of $5,000. This level includes event recognition and participation, but more importantly, it represents the city's continued investment in education and our partnership with the organizations that directly benefit Beaumont families. From a fiscal standpoint, this item was not specifically budgeted. However, it can be funded through the unprogrammed city council funds if council choose to move forward. Overall, this is a relatively modest investment with a direct and visible impact on our local community, particularly our students and future workforce. Staff is recommending that council either approve the $5,000 sponsorship using unprogrammed funds or provide direction on alternative amount and funding source. And that concludes my presentation.
All right, thank you for that. Do we have any public comments for this item?
I have no written requests. Simone, do we have any callers on the line?
We have no callers at this time.
All right, then I will open it up for council discussion.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve item J2 and J3 and the recommended action on each one.
Can we discuss before we go to the?
Sure. Which one would you, are you?
So, well, I guess on J2, the question I have is, when the city gives money to scholarships, is that looked at as a gift of public funds because it is public monies?
These scholarships and reviewing the packet materials, promote a number of public interests for the community. They promote workforce development in the community. They promote economic development. They promote the city's interests. And they also promote welfare interests of the community. And so if the council believes that it supports and will further a public interest, then it's unlikely that finding by the council and making the motion would be reversed or overturned.
Okay, and then, so, and I think this is a worthy cause. My question is when you give it to scholarships, I'm wondering if it wouldn't be more beneficial and more students would benefit from it is if we kept the money to the vital enrichment programs, where you have a larger group of students that may benefit rather than a smaller group of students that just receives the scholarship. That was just some of the thoughts. And then on J3, so if we're going to look at both of them together, the concern that I have there is similar in that I know that Beaumont Unified School District and Mount San Jacinto offer a Beaumont High School Middle College campus. But when you look at the flyer, it doesn't appear as though any of that money is going to that campus specifically. I would like to know if there's a way to get that money to that campus. And the only reason I'm saying that is because when you look at the flyer, let's just say we do the 10,000, only 25% of that goes to scholarships, 75% goes to an endowment. My preference would be is that whatever it is that we give, at least the majority of that money goes to that middle college campus in Banning.
And Councilmember Lara, you do have the ability to ask for that as part of your motion to indicate that that specifically happens, as you've stated, instead of the 25%.
Mayor, I'd like to pull my motion back, since it looks like we need to treat this as two separate items.
Okay. Let's go with item J2 then. First, let's see, we had no comments, public comments on item J2?
Correct.
Okay, very good. And then I'm hearing from Councilmember Lara on J2, your concern was around ensuring that all Beaumont students were included. Did I hear that correctly, versus a more focused?
Right, well, the vital enrichment programs, to me, it appears as though more students would benefit from the money going into those programs as opposed to just scholarships, where maybe only a handful of students would benefit from that. That's just my thought. I don't know how many scholarships would be given based on what we're donating.
Mayor, I have a couple of questions on that. Sure. First of all, do we know that not all students are eligible for the scholarships from BEST? And my other question is, have we had any, what do you mean when you refer to as the vital? Explain what you're talking about there.
So in the flyer, it talks about that the money will fund scholarships and school grants. The school grants will fund what they're referring to as vital enrichment programs. So I'm assuming those are programs that are in the school district that multiple students would benefit from, as opposed to the student scholarships.
But isn't this, my understanding of it was that it was a sponsorship for an event. And I would think all of the money for the sponsorship of the event would be pooled together. And then in a fundraiser, wouldn't best then be appropriate for them to determine where best to use the money? Not.
Well, I'm just giving you my thought on that. I just want to make sure that more students get the most, because it is public funds. I'm trying to make sure more students get the benefit than fewer students, a larger percentage of the students. But that's just my thought.
I'm just trying to understand how we would manage that, how we would designate a portion of that to a portion of some of the events and recipients of what BEST does with the money.
Well, just as Mr. Romo indicated, we could make a request that a majority of the money that we donate go to the vital enrichment programs as a part of our request. That's just my suggestion.
Let's see what Councilmember Finn has to say.
Sorry, Mayor, I must have pushed it by accident. I was just reading the staff report for more info.
Gotcha.
I'm just concerned that we are entering into an area that would be a precedent that we would then, on each item moving forward on these kinds of sponsorships, we would then be micromanaging where the funds go. I mean, I would imagine that BEST has already decided a certain dollar amounts or will be providing certain dollar amounts for the different items that they list. And whether or not it's actually a check from us that goes to those items or just the pool of money that's used to sponsor those items. So I'm just wondering, that's my concern, is putting conditions on that, and maybe we ought to just not approve either of these and put together a policy and a program for future. But the problem I see with that is that both of these events, I would imagine, are going to be taking place shortly.
Councilmember Martinez.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. My other concern is that the district does represent two other cities or one other cities in unincorporated. So does that bring any concern that Beaumont tax dollars are going into a fund that may benefit a Banning student, a Calamasa student, Cherry Valley student, and so forth? I don't really think at these levels of donations that it really is a big concern for the council. I think overall, the fact that we're contributing to our, to a partner agency and helping the youth within our pass area at $5,000, I think probably I would be supportive to allow BEST to decide where, because I believe it does probably go into a pool, and then they will decide which way to divvy that up. And then perhaps if we want to bring this back at another time to discuss a policy, we can do that. But at the $5,000 level, I think it's reasonable to ask our residents to contribute that to a partner agency for this J2. I have a little bit different comment for J3 when it gets there, but for J2, I would support that.
And again, I want to caution that we've made much larger contributions to the Boys and Girls Club, and we haven't indicated that a portion of it needs to go to only Beaumont students versus only Banning students or the whole group. So that's the kind of precedent I'm worried about setting with that kind of direction.
I thought about that as well, but that is also grant money. That is not city coffer money. So that is grant money that we give to Beaumont Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah, that is.
So what we're doing, I think, is we're setting a precedent by donating to scholarship funds that we haven't done in the past that I'm aware of. And maybe you're right. We do need to look at maybe doing that differently in the future. But for right now, I would support doing that. I was just raising a question is all.
No, and
Yeah,
if I remember, I think it's
Jump
a
in.
very valid point that we might want to start discussing as more and more agencies come forward to ask for sponsorship.
Right.
A little bit more of a direction and policy would be worth a discussion, I think.
Right.
So I'll move to approve the recommended action for item J2.
I'll second.
Can I get a roll call?
Councilmember Laura?
Yes.
Councilmember Finn?
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem White?
Yes.
Mayor Voigt?
Yes. All right, and that will move us to item J3, the sponsorship request for Mount San Jacinto College President Roger Schultz Tribute Campaign. Mr. Usher again.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. This next item is another sponsorship opportunity associated with Mount San Jacinto College and their President Roger Schultz Tribute Campaign. This campaign is designed for both recognition of the president's legacy and, more importantly, supporting student success initiatives in the long-term educational opportunities within this region. As part of this effort, MSJC will host two major events this year, and sponsorship opportunities are structured to provide both visibility and direct engagement with the students. At the higher sponsorship levels, the cities would have the opportunity to participate in grad fairs across the campuses, engage with approximately 1,200 graduating students. Additionally, sponsors may provide a congratulatory message that may be shared across 4 commencement ceremonies, reaching roughly 300 graduates per ceremony and over 3,000 attendees overall. From a strategic standpoint, this is more than a sponsorship. It's the opportunity to align the city with regional workforce development, higher education, and economic mobility. From a fiscal perspective, this item was not included in the adopted budget. However, mentioned like with the last item, the city does have an approximately $66,000 in unprogrammed funds identified during the mid-year budget that could be used for this purpose. At this time, staff is seeking direction on City Council direction on the sponsorship level and authorize the program the funds accordingly. That concludes my presentation.
All right, thank you. Do we have any public comments for this item?
I have no written requests. Simone, do we have any callers on the line?
We have no callers at this time.
All right, I will open it up further for council discussion. We heard Councilmember Lara's concern. Do you have anything to expound on with regards to that?
Just in this particular case, you're looking at 2,500 out of the 10,000 would go to scholarships. The rest would go into an endowment. So I have concerns over that. And I agree with Councilmember White, we don't want to get into how they spend their money. And so with that, I would not be supportive of this particular one.
Okay, and Councilmember Martinez.
Yeah, my concern was, one, since we talked about perhaps establishing a policy, then maybe it'd be more prudent if we were to consider donation at the 5,000 level instead. I think that's consistent with what we just did. I think that gives us time to come back and have more of a clear policy of what we want to do. And since it is unprogrammed funds, I'm not comfortable at the 10,000 level at this time.
All right, thank you for that. And Councilmember Fenn.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. So my questions was along the lines of if we were considering the $10,000 level, that it says that they give the opportunity to participate in 2026 grad fairs on campus. What would staff, if we were to do something like that, would staff engage with that? And what do we think that might look like?
Staff would engage in that, would accept that opportunity, and ultimately be a matter of talking to Mount San Jacinto College and coordinating that with them.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, well, I think going along the lines with the $5,000 to me would sound like something that would be reasonable until we kind of devise a policy a little bit more. I know that I previously had talked with interim city manager about moving forward for budget season and what this looks like for us. This, I think, is the first time we've ever really had kind of these intake. And I asked previously, what have we done with these in the past? It seems as if there was, the question was kind of around, is there a community benefit? Is this in alignment with our values? And so oftentimes city managers previously would move forward with them and maybe not bring them back to us. So I like the idea of moving forward with a policy and for now sticking with the 5,000 that we had set, with the BEST program. and moving forward with that. But I'm not sure anybody else's thoughts on that. Councilmember White?
Is this different from the process and the policy that where we have been sponsors of the Banning Chamber of Commerce, the City of Banning, State of the City, the
Calamasa.
City of Calamasa, State of the City? I don't remember any of those coming back to us for any kind of authorization on those sponsorships.
The difference, sir, is that those had been already identified in the budget.
Okay.
There's some that have not come through. This is the first one. But ultimately, if you do go forward, when we come with a budget workshop, we'll present this one also for next year. If it's one that's going to be done on an annual basis, it might just be a one-timer, though. But there's
Okay.
others that do want annual sponsorships.
Okay.
Yeah, and the thought process behind putting these on the agenda was that they were not budgeted in the initial budget. And so we did not feel confident moving forward and just saying, yes, do that without bringing it forward. And so that was the thought process behind bringing it back. So I will either entertain a motion or make a motion myself,
Mayor, I'll move that we approve the $5,000.
and I'll second. We get a roll call.
Just because I don't know the benefit of the local benefit would be, I will vote no.
Okay. Councilmember Finn,
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem White,
Yes.
Mayor Voigt.
Yes. All right. And I think for future agenda items, unless we decide to bring the policy back at workshop timeframe, we can maybe notate that now, either as a future agenda item. So I don't know that the workshop would be the right place for that. All right, we'll move on to J4 to update on the truck prohibition implementation. And I will turn that over to Mr. Vestal.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Can I have IT share my screen? On November 18th, 2025, City Council approved an ordinance reinforcing the truck priority route and commercial vehicle enforcement. City Council also authorized staff to implement a truck prohibition program, which included installing truck signage as shown on the screen and placement of no truck stenciling. I will note that the city's PIO has stated it looks like the city has run out of power on its streets. I disagree with that. Additionally, staff installed signage directing commercial trucks to appropriate truck corridors. So not just the negative, but also the affirmative. As an enhanced effort to bring awareness to the new traffic patterns, staff also installed message boards throughout the city citing the new prohibition and route guidance. The message boards are still in use in high-use areas. Lastly, staff has provided the truck route to Caltrans and most of the commercial truck GPS systems. The city has received positive feedback with several agencies interested in implementing a similar program. As of this evening, the implementation phase is nearly complete. There are two areas that staff is working to resolve. Advance warning on the westbound I-10 off-ramp on Beaumont Avenue and the eastbound SR-60 off-ramp onto 6th Street. Both of those would have for Beaumont Avenue, it would be no truck traffic right or north on Beaumont Avenue, and 6th Street would be all trucks need to turn right at Veely. So both locations require an encroachment permit from Caltrans, and staff is diligently working with Caltrans to obtain those. It's anticipated that a permit will be obtained within 4 months. I did suggest to Carrie that we go out there and just install them. She talked me out of it.
She'll stop the traffic.
Yeah. With respect to enforcement, As of last week, the drafting of the staff report, the Beaumont Police Department has issued 101 citations, predominantly occurring along 6th Street, California, and Beaumont Avenue. Police Department staff has stated that there is an appreciable reduction in trucks, particularly when they are behind them. This concludes my update. Staff is available for questions and discussion.
All right, thank you for that lively presentation. And I really appreciate all the work that has been done for this. Nicole, do we have any public comment on this item?
I have no written requests. Simone, do we have any callers on the line?
We have no callers at this time.
Alrighty, great. I will say that when the pictures on the ground first appeared, Tim and Addie said, "Mom, what are those?" And I said, "Can't you tell that's a no truck sign?" I knew exactly what it was right away. But I really do thank you and appreciate all the work that has gone into this commercial enforcement. I thank the police department for their efforts as well. And this shows true coordination between the departments within the city, and I really appreciate that. Councilmember Fenn.
Yes, thank you. Robert, you addressed a couple of my concerns already with the freeway off-ramp, so I appreciate that. Is there any leeway given if there's a truck coming off the 60 freeway onto 6th Street because there is no current signage, and if they're expected to turn on Veely, that is within just a few feet, I think, of when perhaps they've passed the Caltrans, encroachment area, I don't know what to call it. So I guess my question would be is, at what point is there anything that we can put on within the city's jurisdiction on that for a notice or a sign, or is that too close to Veely and it's unsafe by doing so?
Yeah, so a couple of things. I won't speak for PD in terms of enforceable action, but I can speak to, the truck routes are publicly provided. It is the obligation of the truck drivers to know those truck routes. We have a message board right on Veely at 6th Street, which again, to your point, it's very close. However, that's a very heightened awareness. They've been implemented for some time, so in my opinion, PD would have, well, I won't speak for PD. I think it is enforceable as is. It would be better when Caltrans permits us to install those signs.
Okay, and then once those signs are installed, approximately how far back? Would it be near the off-ramps themselves, or would there be a couple along that route? Because we have the 10 freeway and the 60 exits that merge in together, and then you finally have that last turn, and then Veely's are, within feet of that.
Sure. I do not think that Caltrans will allow us to put a truck route sign on the main line of SR 60 or the 10 freeway. I think that might be confusing. So at best, I think we're in a position to install them on the off-ramp, which is a very long off-ramp. And they're decelerating at that time just to make those turns. So I do think that that's sufficient advance warning for them.
Okay, and in your report, you mentioned the 60. Would there be one on the 10 freeways exit portion, because they do merge, just the 60 is the one that's longer? Or would the sign be after those two off-ramps have merged together?
Yeah, there would be several. So starting at the 60, but even in the merge area, it'll be another sign.
Okay, and then one on the 10 side as well?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you, Robert.
Righty, excellent. Well, we will take that as a receive and file, so thank you very much. All right, and that will take us to our Steuart Park update and discussion. And I will turn this over to Doug Story.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm here to provide an update on our Steuart Park project, and something that we have been going and working on for quite some time. As you know, we most recently came to council to to pause construction over at Steuart Park. And so we wanted to bring an update, let you know where we were in that process as far as the pause, but also be able to provide just a concise timeline. If you were able to check out some of the attachments that were with the staff report, just some visual representations of the entire process. So all the way back from 2022, when we first initiated a design contract with a professional services agreement with our design team, all the way up into 2026, where we're still providing updates for this project. If you remember, in 2024, we applied for funding through an ORLP program, which is a federal grant through the National Park Services that's administered through the California State Parks. We were notified that we were selected to receive the $3.1 million grant, and that application was submitted for the Phase 2 portion of the Steuart Park. So following that selection process, we entered in what's called the Federal Post-Award Compliance Process, and that's where we began the process for the NEPA and the Section 106, and working with all the different National Historic Preservation Act, and then receiving sign-off from all of the cultural assessments that we have to turn in as part of this federal grant. So during that coordination process, that's when it was brought to our attention that we needed to make the pause. That pause was initiated in June of 2025. And at that time, we were under the impression that that would be at most a 6-month pause. And obviously in March of 2026, we are not at that 6 months. We have well surpassed that. So construction activities did stop at Steuart Park on June 4th of last year, and they are still paused to this day. If you look at some of the things to highlight in the timeline that's in the staff report, and then also the graphical representation of the two attachments, you'll see some specific things when we awarded the construction contract to Act 1. And that was on June 18th of 2024. Act 1 is the prime contractor who was selected to construct Steuart Park, and we have been engaged with them. Phase 1 construction began roughly soon after July 4th of 2024. And we began demo and doing all the things at Steuart Park for the Phase 1 portion of the project, which is fully funded through our capital improvement projects. And so as that began to move, while we were in construction for Phase 1, September 25th, 2024, that's when we were notified that we were selected for the ORLP grant. And as you keep going through from that date, you'll see just some of the coordination between our city staff and the OGALs, which is with California State Parks, and all the different things that we've been working through that federal compliance coordination and that coordination with the state to receive this grant. There's a couple of things as we start moving through later on into the summer. Once we were told that we needed to stop construction, and we did stop construction, we were notified of a grant reduction amount from ORLP and OGALs. And that reduced our original $3.1 million award that we were selected for down to just over $2.5 million. The reason for that reduction is that the OGALs and the State Parks Organization believed that some of the items that we were requesting for grant funding in Phase 2 were being completed in Phase 1. Those were not being done, and we submitted some documentation kind of explaining that. However, they chose to reduce the grant amount. So that happened in August of 2025, and roughly from that summer moment when we paused construction and we were wrapping up the NEPA and the Section 106, we've been in constant contact with that organization and trying to get the final resolution. Since November of last year was the first, November 5th of 2025 was when we submitted our final documentation for everything in regards to NEPA. So everything from the city that they were waiting for has been completed. It's all been submitted. On that date, we were told that it was a 30-day review period. and that is the review period that we are still in. However, it has been much greater than 30 days. So we are at a point where we have initiated some of our representatives in Sacramento to, on our behalf, to make notification, to send emails, to begin to try to get the answers that we've been waiting for. So right now it's been just we are processing the application and we hope to get you the final words soon is pretty much the responses that we've been getting from OGALS. The other big portion that we wanted to provide in this staff report was in the fiscal impact so that you, council, can see where we are as far as what were some of the current costs for the different phases, what was some of the change orders that have occurred. Some change orders are construction related and they're just change orders from things that have happened in the project. And then there are some specific change orders that have happened just because of the pause. And that's that final, the third category in your fiscal impact. And so there's the initial $283,000 that was set aside for the original pause. And then since then we have had an additional change order because obviously will run its course past the 6 months. So we wanted to be able to provide some of the fiscal impact and some of the fiscal reports of where we stand on this grant, and then also a timeline of how things have been transpiring thus far. So I'll turn it over for discussion and any questions from the council this time.
All right, thank you, Mr. Story, for that update. Before we do council discussion, do we have any public comments on this item?
I have no written requests. Simone, do we have any callers on the line?
We have no callers at this time.
All right, well, I will kind of start us off with regards to this project. Thank you for bringing it forth. I think it's a discussion that we need to have, as it appears that the pause has cost us $435,000 currently that we were not anticipating to spend, along with a reduction of approximately $600,000 in the grant, which we thought. So right there between the two, we're looking at a sizable amount of money. And I really felt that it was important that we kind of continue with this discussion to see what the council feels like we should move forward and do. And as I see it currently, we really have three options. The first option is that we continue with the pause and continue the waiting period. Doug, could you speak to the costs of a monthly cost approximately? I think at one point I'd heard like 50,000, but if you could.
It's roughly 50,000, and some of that is for the store. We had to rent additional storage containers to store all the materials that were not able to be used at the time, and then also some of the things that we're asking the contractor to stay engaged doing to maintain the site. Okay, so if we continue the pause, we have an unknown expense that's coming out of there with every 2 months, about another 100,000 racking up. Our second option would be to continue with phase one, which is fully funded with the funds in the bank, not proceed with phase two at this time, and then continue to seek other options for phase two and try and find within the budgeting process how we would fund that phase two, or to move forward with phase three, which is continue with phase one and two and find the funding within our current costs that we have currently. So I really thought we should just bring it forward to make a further decision as a council and provide that direction. So those are kind of the three options I see, unless somebody has another option that I haven't thought about, which is absolutely possible. So this is a brainstorming session by all means. So Councilmember Fenn.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Should we continue with phase one and put phase two on hold and we start that work? When it comes to phase two, are we shutting down the park again? And then how long would that estimate be in working through phase two?
There would be, I do believe that phase two would shut down a majority, if not all, of the park again. There are some of the areas that are going to be under construction on the northern portion, but definitely almost all of the southern portion as well. There might be, just if the contractor was able to carve out where the north basketball courts are going. That's where most of the phase 2 stuff's happening on the north end, but more likely they'll still shut down a majority, if not all, the park.
Okay, and what do you think the gap in between completion of Phase 1 and start of Phase 2 would be? Should we go that route to where, we paid for Phase 1, so we get that done, and we're seeking for additional funding and so forth? What would be your best guesstimate as, okay, we're ready to break ground on Phase 2? What the timeline would be after the completion of Phase 1?
The estimate and the timeline for the completion of Phase 1 is an additional about 6 more months of construction to complete Phase 1. And then, depending on when we would initiate a contract for Phase 2, order materials, and get all those things rolling, if the funding was there, if we could start that process sooner than later, there might not be necessarily a downtime. They might be able to roll right into Phase 1 and then do Phase 2.
Okay.
But if we complete Phase 1, and whenever we do initiate Phase 2, whether that be new internal funding or we figure out a new funding source to finish Phase 2, if we wait for a long time, there is going to be a period where a lot of materials need to be ordered. And so
Okay.
there will be some downtime in
And
between.
then last question is, do we have to find a new funding source if we continue with Phase 1? Do we lose this grant opportunity completely, or is there still the possibility of requesting just for Phase 2 for that grant?
That's what we initially did, was just request for Phase 2. However, the environmental and the federal requirements
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, okay.
are project site-wide, and so that's why it's impacting Phase 1. The funding doesn't touch Phase 1, it doesn't impact Phase 1, except that the work site has to be preserved while they do this federal procedures.
Okay, so one more then. If Phase 1 is completed and then we resubmit, does that increase our chances of getting grant funding for that?
It would be a brand new, I think if we disengaged from this process, I don't think there would be an opportunity to re-engage for this funding round. The funding rounds are constantly going, and so could there be another opportunity in the future? Perhaps. I'm not aware of a new funding opportunity coming out, but I'm certain there will be another time. I just don't know when that would be.
Okay, thanks, Doug. Thanks, Mayor.
Sure, absolutely. Councilmember Lara?
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate you bringing this back up. We have a trip to DC scheduled in April. Was it the third week of April?
April 20th.
April what, I'm sorry?
20th.
20th. So, one thought was, do we have any meetings scheduled with the National Park Service to discuss this item by chance?
We do, sir. That has been specifically scheduled.
So I'd like to wait until we have our trip to DC, and then we do meet with the National Park Service to see if anything shakes loose. The concern that I have is that's 5 weeks away, and then another $50,000, and then by the time we get it back to council, is there a way that we can address this, maybe in this meeting or the next, we make a decision to whatever council decides to move forward on Phase 1, pending the outcome of the meeting in April? That way we don't have to wait till we meet again and burn another $50,000. It's very frustrating and disappointing because we finish Phase 1 and our residents still can't use the park until we hopefully find funding for Phase 2. So there's just no clean way to go through this. So, but that's my thoughts.
One point of clarification for you, Doug, on that is we could complete Phase 1.
Correct,
The
yes.
park could be
Yes.
It would utilized
and it
at
would be
that
usable.
point and usable until we then found the funding for Phase 2.
Yes,
and we
correct.
we could potentially with Phase 2 find ways in which to minimize the amount of closures of the park if we needed to.
Yes, and when we did when we originally awarded Phase 1, we were only awarding Phase 1. And one of the bid alternatives was, hey, these areas that are for future phases, the Phase 2 stuff, this is how you would prepare that area, this is how you would get it to a flat surface, so it's not going to be a giant pit or a hole in the ground or something. It would be usable and when we awarded this in June of 2024, we were fully moving forward with only building phase one and only opening it. And then when we could get phase two, it was just that 3, 4 months, 5 months into construction, we were told we have this grant opportunity.
Mr. Stewart, could you remind us, what are the items of phase two that are not going to be a part of phase one?
Sure. Going from north to south, on the north end, there would be a basketball court and pickleball area. As you keep coming down, there's pavilions, picnic pavilions, which would be one near the current existing restroom, and then one next to where the new splash pad would be. And then as you keep moving south, the amphitheater pavilion area, and then some of the ADA sidewalks on the south end of the park. There will be connectivity, and I mean, it's not like the paths will instantly just stop into dirt. There is a loop. It's just the second loop that goes into the southern section would not be complete, and some of the planting. And the skate park, that's what it was, I'm sorry. And the skate park is in phase two.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez?
Thank you, Mayor. So it has been a while, so my brain is going to have to go back a little bit here. So we say that phase one is fully funded. How has that initial price been affected by the shutdown? So we initially had a funding, we have it in the bank, we're ready to go. But since time is moving and the construction costs are increasing, have we got a new estimate?
So we're still under contract. So they're still moving forward with the funding as it is.
Okay.
That project was initiated, part of the pause, the monthly fee covers some of those additional costs that they would have incurred by lengthening this contract.
Mm-hmm.
So the total construction price, that 11.3, plus the approved change orders, that's all within our contingency, which we had in that project. And so it's still within its budget and it's still moving forward under that original contract.
So those change orders down there are in that 522 that are down for 397 now.
Correct.
Okay. And this total construction cost is phase 1 and 2 I'm looking at?
No, this is just phase one. So under the current construction costs, that first table in the staff report, that $11.8 million becomes the phase one amount. So that is just for phase one. The phase two has not been bid and it has not been awarded to a contractor yet.
Oh, here it is. Okay. And so we're talking about, 2.1 2.5 million for the grant now with its reduction, but we still don't know what the total cost is going to be.
No,
And
we originally, when we received estimates that it was about 6.2 million. That's why council provided $3.1 million as a matching
match to the other
fund
one.
for the grant. So that was already approved. And so phase two already contains $3.1 million in funding. And if they were to give us the green light and let us move forward, then we would receive the just over 2.5 million from grant funding. And then we would go out to bid and we would see perhaps where those bids came in, if they were close or if there was a deficit or a delta that we needed to fill.
Okay, so 3.1 is what we have right now. So if we somehow didn't go through with the grant, then we would have the difference between whatever the actual cost is minus 3.1.
Correct.
Is what we would be looking at. Okay. All right, that helps my brain get up to now. Thank you.
Councilmember White?
So the numbers were what I was looking for. So in summary, and I'm just rounding, 11 million first phase is in the bank. We can complete it and finish it.
Yes.
We put 3 million in the bank for phase two, and we're waiting on 2.5 million, and we've been waiting 4 years for that.
Not
3.5
4 years, but we've
years?
been waiting for 2 years now since we applied. I think
And that grant is guaranteed 2.5 as long as we just wait for it?
it's 2.5 once we get the thumbs up and everything's approved and the NEPA and everything goes through.
But
then
I'm
it's
saying it's
2.5.
not approved, so it's not guaranteed at
It's
this point.
Not there. It's not in our hands yet. We've been selected for the grant, but not
I
approved.
think it's time to move forward, finish phase one, keep the 3 million in the bank and worry about getting the other two to whatever we need for phase two. I mean, this is ridiculous to wait this long. And if we don't find the funding for phase two, we do what we can with the 3 million, or we reprogram that until we can do phase two. That's what I'd like to see done.
Councilmember Martinez?
Do we have any, and I'm pushing in that direction, do we have any plans for a Sacramento trip, and would it help if we knocked on their door outside standing there? I mean,
I will drive there tomorrow if you want me
Well,
to.
I mean,
I'm just, anything you can do.
I think what Councilmember Lara suggested sounds like a prudent plan, but we're still waiting. Even if we get the, even if we walk in the door and they would say, okay, well, you guys, we're good to go. We're still not good to go until the
Till we
approval's
get the check
been
in
done.
the
Yeah, the decision is with the Office of Historical Preservation, which is it's a Sacramento, that's a state office.
Right.
They will give, the Office of Historical Preservation gives their approval and letter of concurrence to National Park Services, and then that would be the final step.
And the money's coming from National Park Services?
The
or
money is
state?
coming from National Park Services.
Yeah, so even if we ask for support in DC,
Yeah,
it still has to go through the state, not DC.
The state is administering the grant. They are the hands
I would
and
say it's
feet
time to
of that.
cut bait.
and my last question had to do with the pause. What did we say the pause was costing?
It is just north of $50,000 a month.
Per month, okay.
Yeah, total has been
Yeah.
435 to date.
Correct.
And we'll incur another 50
Every month that
every
goes
month.
by.
think we owe it
Starting
to our-
with April? Are we
think-
paid through April on those, or?
No, I don't think we're even paid
No, I
to
think-
March. We
I
haven't
think
got it
we're-
for March.
In
I think we're
we
just
paid
January, February, I think, I want to say, or December, January. But there are still months that need to be on
I
there.
think we owe it to our community to get the park open.
And what we're hearing is about 6 months in order to get that done. Is that correct, Doug?
Yeah, I think safely, but we're coming into a good time of the year to be doing construction, so hopefully it'll be a little quicker, but I would say about that much time.
Maybe we can catch the tail end.
So 6 months more?
Yeah.
6 months more?
6 months. Construction is what Doug just estimated
For phase one.
For
To
phase
finish
one.
up phase one, yes.
Oh, okay. I thought something.
for phase one. If we were to say we're moving forward today, he can give the construction go-ahead. The estimate is 6 months.
The good news is all the materials have arrived, so
Yeah.
we are not waiting for
So
materials
the
anymore.
park would open within the fall, probably.
Yes, if we can start it.
Councilmember Lara?
Yeah, so as memory serves, when we first did this, the big issue was the environmental studies that needed to be done for phase two. Those studies were done, as I understand it.
Completed.
And those studies have been reviewed by both the state and the feds, right?
Yes.
And they've been approved, if I understand correctly, by both the state and the feds. We're waiting for a letter from the federal government to go to the state.
We're waiting for a letter from the Office of Historical Preservation in Sacramento
To go
to the feds, because they're the ones that technically release everything for the grant.
So since the key thing has been reviewed and approved, which is the environmental studies, what if we submit a request to proceed on phase one, because we've already done the environmental's been bought off on, proceed on phase one with the understanding that we won't go into phase two until we get the approval. This way, we're not just sitting there.
Yeah.
But legally, I mean, we've done our due diligence and completed the environmental studies. There's been no issues with the environmental studies from either group that have brought. The monitoring has been approved by the tribes.
Yes.
And so there's really no issue that would hold us up from proceeding, at least in phase one. So I'm wondering if we could request permission to proceed with phase one while we wait to get the approval to get the money for phase two. I'm just thinking out loud. We haven't asked to proceed, though.
Have we?
I'm not familiar enough to know if that's a normal ask. The issue, the whole crux of this issue has been everything we've been doing, our grant, everything has been phase two, phase two, phase two. But when it came to the NEPA and the environmental, it was project site-wide. So it wasn't just, we can't just carve out these things. And that's why we're in that pause, this pause that we're in. Phase 1 has really nothing to do with the grant. We're not going to seek reimbursement for anything from Phase 1. We have all the money in place for Phase 1. Everything's done. However, it's that one environmental piece that is looking at it as a entire project site, not just these certain areas that are Phase 2 specific. So I don't know if there is a letter that you can submit, or if there's a process that we can go through and say, everything's been in, let's try to do it,
But I think what Mr. Lara is suggesting makes perfect sense. We just craft a letter that says, listen, we've spent all the money, we've done everything, we're on hold. Let us continue to move forward.
Yeah.
Phase 1, it's not going to change the construction or the environmentals or the tribes or anything like that. And
Yeah.
if they say no, then I think, then we've got the writing on the wall.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning towards that suggestion. Can we identify a timeline? Can we maybe say if we submit this letter by Friday and they don't respond in 2 weeks, we continue to move forward?
I think we should time it to make sure we have that letter when we go to DC.
Okay.
Mayor, my comments on that, if they were saying it's a 30-day, original 30-day review, we give them a new 30-day notice, and then we start at that point. So I would add 2 weeks to your 2 weeks.
So it's March 8th.
Yeah.
I would imagine we're at March 17th, so if we submit this somewhere around the 22nd and we land in DC on the 21st, we've submitted it, and that's right at the 30-day timeframe. What does the council think about that? Councilmember Martinez?
I mean, I'm all for it, and I was supportive, but they wouldn't let us cut weeds, and you want to go ahead with construction.
But they wouldn't let us cut weeds until we did everything that we've done.
Right.
So now
but they
let
were
us cut the
still,
weeds.
and they were still taking a look as a whole project.
Right.
one
Yeah.
piece. So
And I'd love, include in that letter, pointing out all the things that we are doing and the costs that we are accruing every single month, I think would be an
Yeah, I
important
agree.
factor.
Yeah. Is there a certificate of completion that comes when they sign off on the NEPA and the CEQA portion of it?
I would
No,
assume it's
Robert?
the contract award. I mean, I'm assuming it's them giving us a award of funds.
So there's nothing that comes back and says you've met all requirements?
Money.
Yeah, there's generally a letter that says it's approved.
The money, the
We
approval
file it
letter.
to- The NEPA's a recordable. It's recordable.
It is recorded? So is there something that you can review that shows it is, and this is contingent, it will not show as recorded until this letter is done?
I believe that is the case, yes.
Okay. Okay.
I have
So,
sorry.
No, that is
interject.
okay.
We had a meeting with CPPG yesterday, which is our
lobbyist.
State lobbyist, and she asked if any of you were attending Cal City's legislative platform this year. Well, it happens to be the same week that you're going to DC, so I told her no. But Darren just is reaching out to see if potentially she could get someone, if we send a representative, I'm not sure who, but you tell me, if we could send someone to Sacramento, Doug just volunteered, if we can get Sharon to get a meeting with the Historical Society during that, if we send them to the conference and they have some clout to go through and get them in, I mean, that's another avenue.
And that's why I had mentioned if we were going to Sacramento, because I knew that was coming up. I didn't know if it was going
And
to
I
help.
just learned that yesterday,
Yeah,
so I wasn't aware.
I'm,
The grants analyst did just comment and say that this is not an option. Unfortunately, she's not in here to provide additional details.
My concern with the Cal Cities legislative, if you've ever seen that, it's just hundreds of council members going up there, and we're just
But even
one
if
in the
we
bunch.
if we work through Sharon as under the auspice that we're coming up for the event or whatever the case may be and get the meeting.
What if we get a meeting outside of that event?
Yeah, we try, we could.
Because-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know another conversation, I don't know if Brittany's sharing additional information this evening, but she did have a concern walking away from federal grant money.
Yeah.
Understood.
Understood.
That's just.
At $50,000 a month, though, if they're gonna pay the $50,000 a
Agreed,
month.
agreed.
Did you have something, Lisa? Oh. She's the messenger. Okay, Councilmember Finn?
Yes, back to the letter that if we issue, I would encourage that we CC our Assemblymember Wallace, Senator Ochoa-Bogue, and Congressman Ruiz on that letter. And so then that way, when it goes to the state, they know that our representatives received the same letter as well.
Absolutely, Councilmember Flynn. Just to let you know, all three of those representatives that you've identified have been reached out to, and I know that Congressman Rees is trying to help us. Ultimately, Rosalisi Bogue also responded. So the only one I think we haven't received callback from is Wallace's office.
Thank you.
And could you do you have any other information to provide from the grants analyst?
Fortunately, I don't, but I believe that maybe Doug does.
Oh, of course. I'm looking at my Teams app right now. No, I don't.
Okay. So what I've heard is the council still potentially wants to move forward with the letter. We can time it for it to be sent early next week, which would then land at the same time we go to DC. And it seems like the direction is to move forward with phase one upon returning from DC. Is that a fair summation? And do we need to provide any other direction, or is it sufficient to tell them to move forward?
It's receive, file, and provide additional directions.
Okay. So is the council okay with saying upon return, letter will go out next week, upon return from Washington DC, and by May 1st, we will proceed with either a decision to wait with the information from DC, or we will proceed with construction in May?
Do we need to bring that back to the May 5th City Council meeting to make a formal decision?
It seems like we have the direction.
Well, because we would be waiting for a returning report from the
We're
DC
going
trip.
That's what I'm
April
saying. I think
20th.
I would like it to wait till the 5th week.
Yeah, I say we just revisit the issue on the 5th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, very good.
Understood. Thank you.
Sure. All right, that will move us on to the adoption of our 2026. Are we okay? Do you want to write the check for 50,000?
No, I don't.
All right, we'll move on to the adoption of the 2026 legislative platform. Sorry, please go ahead. We're
not a
griping up
problem,
here.
not
I
a problem.
apologize. Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. This item is the adoption of the 2026.
Mayor, I would like to make a motion to adopt the 2026 legislative platform.
Okay, can we check and see if there are any public comments on this item?
I have no written requests. Simone, do we have any callers on the line?
We have no callers at this time.
Any council discussion before I take a second? Okay, then I'll entertain a second.
I'll second. Thank you, Darren.
Sorry, Darren, I was really looking forward to your presentation.
Can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Laura?
Yes.
Councilmember Finn?
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez?
Sorry, Darren. Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem White?
Yes.
Mayor Voigt?
Yes. And we will move our legislative platform to every 2 years. Okay, then let's get our March legislative update.
Hopefully I get to speak this time. So the item before you is our March legislative update, which provides an overview of the legislation introduced during the 25-26 legislative session that may impact the city of Beaumont. The deadline to introduce bills occurred February 21st this year, and approximately 1,900 bills were introduced statewide, representing about a 23% decrease compared to last year. Some upcoming important events is March 25th. The legislature will go on spring recess, and then they will reconvene April 6th. And then mid-May, the government releases their revision of the state budget, and then May 29th is the last day to pass bills out of the house of their origin. A significant portion of these bills are referred to as spot bills, meaning they are just placeholder language, and they will expand as they go through the committees. At a high level, the city closely monitors legislation in the key several areas, which are listed in our platform. One of the most notable attentions this year is electric bike regulation, with multiple bills addressing safety standards, registration requirements, and youth usage. I do have the list of all of the bills in the staff report. So there's about 5 or 6 bills, actually 7 bills that are e-bike related, and they range from changing what is classified as a class 2 or a class 3, requiring students to park or allowing students to park electric bikes on campus so that they can participate in safety training programs. And then there's also requires the California Highway Patrol to publish and maintain a list of electric bikes and products that do not comply with labeling or advertising regulations. So this year is more focused on e-bike regulation, as the last few years were more housing and urban development. We do have bills also that we are tracking in regards to workplace violence, mitigations fee, which is SB 1036. We also have a bill that kind of coincides with the cleanup of SB 707, which is SB 1187. And it has to do with the teleconferencing and language access for city council and other public meetings. And then the last 2 bills are SB 1172 with local sales and usage tax administration. So it makes a small change to the technical definition of local tax and state law governing administration of local sales tax and use taxes by local agency. And then the final bill, which Chief Hopkins will elaborate a little bit more on, is AB 2517, which has to do with the fire severity zones. And this bill would require the state marshal to increase transparency with designating fire severity zones and local responsibility areas, establishing a regular 5-year review cycle for those designees. And then I'll turn it over to Chief Hopkins for the rest of this.
Good evening, council, again. So AB 2517, Calderon, is a new bill proposed by Assemblymember Calderon in this February 2026. What the bill is about, bullet points, it's to require clearer and more consistent reviews. Right now, the current law for wildfire hazard maps are to be reviewed periodically, even though they are redoing the maps every 5 years. But it's written in there specifically that the maps will be written every 5 years. They also want to try to improve the transparency and the public accessibility to the maps and enhance awareness and understanding of the fire hazard designations. Why this matters is they're looking at wildfire risk is increasing due to the climate change and changing fuel conditions. They say that outdated maps, can impact fire prevention strategies, emergency response planning, public safety, building codes, insurance rates, and evacuation planning. The core improvements of AB 2517 requires the fire hazard severity zone maps to be updated every 5 years. It mandates a preliminary release of the maps before finalization and allows local governments and stakeholders to provide input back to the state before the maps are finalized. Overall, the goal of this bill is to ensure that there's a science-based, regularly updated hazard map, provide better data for fire agencies, local governments, and residents, and strengthen wildfire prevention, mitigation, and preparedness, and also improve protection of lives, property, and infrastructure. That's the key bullet points to what this bill does. By taking out the periodically and then updating the maps, and with it being more transparent, and if there's some input put back in, it also could determine if, say, there were areas that were designated a very high or high, could change if, say, you had infrastructure that was built in those areas, so then they would be redoing and keeping up the maps. They're already supposed to be keeping up the maps every 5 years anyways, but that's where you can maybe have a reduction in a zone, or it could go the other way, right? Now, it could be that now that you're doing it more frequently, that you're going back and you're going to be updating the zones more frequently, so they could go from the other way, right, from a moderate to a high or high to very high. So that's essentially what the bill. It still it still has to pass the assembly committees, assembly floor vote, the Senate committees, and the floor, and then the governor's signature. So it's still in the infancy stages right now.
All right, great. Thank you, Chief. And Councilmember Finn, I think you had asked for a little bit of discussion with regards to this. Do you have anything else you need to add in?
Just in that, one, Chief, you answered a lot of my questions that I was going to ask in your report, so I appreciate that. But just if you could, if we can keep an eye closely on if we think that it runs the risk of getting worse, I'll call it, that we're identified, or at least that information is brought back, because the bill does look promising, and I would think it'd be something that we would want to support, but then have somebody really just kind of look through with a fine-tooth comb just to make sure it doesn't open up some other avenue. Because what I hear from the public is, hey, it makes no sense. As we continue to have development, there's less and less open area, so perhaps less of a chance of wildfire. And so therefore, we would assume over time, those fire maps would shrink. But as you point out, they could potentially grow due to new data and so forth. And just, I'd hate to be supportive of it in the future and have it turn around and bite us down the road. So just extra attention, and I appreciate this coming to us as an update. Thank you.
Yeah, and I did speak to our region office today to see if they had heard anything about the AB 2517. They said it's still too new, that they haven't had any information on it, so they're going to have to still wait. They still are waiting on the Board of Forestry to actually even put into law the defensible space of Zone 0, Zone 1, Zone 2. It seems like it's so stringent with the type of, can't have any type of vegetation around your house, that they might be looking at, because we actually put on our sites, that, hey, this is good type of vegetation to have because it is fire resistant. So they're looking at some things. So they still haven't actually put that into law yet. So they were supposed to be meeting, but we still don't have a date when that's going to be. But I imagine it's going to be fairly soon.
Great. Thank you. All right, very good. We will move on. I don't believe there's an economic development update this evening.
There is not.
Okay, and Planning Commission, Mr. Jones?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. On March 11th, 2026, the Planning Commission considered and approved the Calvary Chapel Beaumont expansion project with conditions of approval and mitigation measures to address potential environmental impacts, located at 1780 Orchard Heights, by a 3-1-0 vote, with Chair Smith being excused. The approved project authorizes the expansion of 3,300 square foot religious institution use by an additional 23,700 square feet. If constructed, the expansion would include a new 11,000 square foot sanctuary, a 7,700 square foot multi-purpose building, a 5,000 square foot children's ministry center, and a new baptismal area, 2 sport courts, and an outdoor barbecue area, all on 5.49 acres within the residential single-family zone. Deadline to appeal is Thursday, March 26th at 5 p.m., and I'm available to answer any questions.
All right, great, thank you. All right, and all right, no city treasurer report? And city clerk? No problem, city attorney? All right, and the city manager?
Just to note, the city manager's monthly report for February is attached.
Thank you. And we have bike rack implementation for future agenda items. Do we have any other suggestions?
Mayor, if we're having a running list, then an update on our emergency preparedness plan.
That is on the list, and that is set to come at a future date. What we're doing is putting those that are coming up in the next month.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
So, absolutely. And then we'll head on over to our council reports. Council Member Lara?
Nothing to report.
Council Member Fenn?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. On March 4th, I attended Riverside Transit's Finance Committee, and On the 5th, the Transportation Now Committee, nothing major to report out of those. On the 10th, I attended our PASCOM, and I thought it'd be about a good time to share some information about that organization as it ties into my future agenda item request for the city's emergency preparedness plan. So just a little tidbit from what PASCOM is and from their bylaws. PASCOM is short for the San Gorgonio Pass Area Communications Committee. PASCOM is a nonprofit organization started in 1983, comprised of volunteers and representatives from local law enforcement, fire departments, water districts, utility companies, cities, county, school districts, chambers of commerce, communication, medical facilities, local business, and private individuals. So pretty much everybody's invited. And then their mission statement, the mission of PASCOM is to build a disaster-resilient San Gorgonio Pass region through education, coordination, and collaboration among individuals, agencies, and organizations involved in emergency preparedness, response, and recovery. And then just quickly as bullet points for their purpose and objectives is to educate, facilitate collaboration, support training and exercises, maintain and distribute emergency resources and guides, serve as a communication hub, and provide assistance and recovery coordination. And then where they meet is and when is the second Thursday of the month at 8:30 a.m. at the Loma Linda University Health Beaumont Banning Building. What you'd want to do is park in the back. And then its address is 81 South Highland Springs Avenue. It says Suite 100A on the agenda, but the label on the door is Suite 100B. So it's the northwest corner of the building. Would love to have the public come out and participate. We know that we have a good number of homeowners associations that are putting together emergency response plans, and would like to invite them as well. So thank you, Mayor.
Great, thank you. And Councilmember White, or Mayor Pro Tem, excuse me.
Nothing to report.
Councilmember Martinez.
No report, Mayor.
All right, and I too will just mention, we rounded out our coffee with the mayor with Solera. We had economic development, and I was able to tour our neighborhood healthcare, a new facility recently as well, so that was awesome. All right, and with that, we will adjourn at 8:03. Who won? Oh, man. Wear them around.